What's up, guys? Welcome back to Punk Politics with me, Aid Thompson. This guy is the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, at least for the time being. The guy's a billionaire. He's married to the heir of Emphasis, and they live in a gigantic gated mansion with a private swimming pool, and where their biggest worry is whether they stay in England after the general election. And realistically, which speaking engagements can offer him disabled access to the podium. Oh, and their no doubt colossal investment portfolio. Now, the Sunaks have 2 daughters, so you would hope that amidst the Goldman stocks and Apple shares, they might also be invested in the future, right? And that's supposedly not just wishful thinking, because last year Sunak said this: I have 2 daughters, both of whom are passionate environmentalists, and I am absolutely committed to leaving our environment in a better state for the next generation. Which must have been a relief to people like you and me and our children who are going to inherit this planet, this junkyard rental car, after this lot have been running it into the ground for the last 20 years as caretakers. And yet, where is the evidence of this commitment to leaving the environment in a better state for the next generation? I am absolutely committed. I mean, we all say we're committed to things all the time, right? But it doesn't guarantee you the happy ever after. Anyone can say they're committed to something, as Therese Coffey's gym membership and direct debit will attest. But where is the evidence of Sunak's commitment? You know, it's like that saying, which I'm really a big fan of, by the way: judge people by their actions, not by their words. You know, you ever heard that? Judge people by their actions, what they do, not by the things they say, not by their words. Not by their words, you f***ing dog, f***ing badger, you sh**. So what is Sunak's track record on the climate? What movements has he actually made? Are you ready? Should we go through them? Lights, camera, Sunaction. Well, there was COP27, which was an international conference where representatives from 200 countries were going to meet and discuss what they could do to address climate change. But he, as the British Prime Minister, couldn't be bothered going. Said he was too focused on the domestic British economy, which is powered by fossil fuels, by the way. Now, balance that laissez-faire attitude with his commitment to this stuff. And it's like telling your husband and the father of your child that you are committed to making this work, and then not showing up to the marriage counselling because you're too busy in a travel lodge with some fellas you met day drinking in Revolutions, and you're having a whale of a time with them. You're just really enjoying yourself. Now, unsurprisingly and, embarrassingly, the delegates from all of the other countries, they all described this as like the UK washing its hands of leadership. But still, he wouldn't budge. In fact, he even prohibited King Charles from attending. Now, King Charles, for all his faults, for decades, he's been an environmental activist. It was only when that horny albino Yeti was running around cosplaying PM, jetting to Ukraine, jetting to the World Economic Forum, and now about to jet to COP27. It was only then that the fear of being out-statesmaned by Boris Johnson, which is, a sentence that nobody wants on their CV, that he begrudgingly agreed to go. What else is on his climate action CV? Well, as politically charged groups like Extinction Rebellion, Insulate Britain, Just Stop Oil have captured the narrative, as regular people become more and more concerned and are aware of the urgent need for climate action. How has Sunak responded to that? Has he insulated Britain? Is he committed to ensuring that all new homes are built with sustainable materials and environmentally friendly boilers and solar panels on the roof to ease the load on the national grid and reduce the amount of carbon that we put up in the atmosphere? Is he doing any of that? No, he's not. It seems he's saving his energy. What else have we got? Well, last week, Sunak's Conservative Party demonised Sadiq Khan's extension to the ULEZ scheme, a project specifically designed to improve air quality and reduce London's carbon footprint. In fact, they didn't just demonise or mock Sadiq Khan, they made it a cornerstone of their Uxbridge by-election campaign. Just take that in for a second. The party in government, who we need to show leadership, decided to not just not support an important environmental program, probably a core component of their own net zero strategy, but they actively campaigned against it because it was politically convenient. Now, you'll no doubt be aware that ULEZ was devised by Boris Johnson and the extension to it demanded by Grant Shapps. Sadiq Khan was all but forced to extend ULEZ by them, by Tories, as a means by which to bolster the coffers for the Department of Transport. But when offered the chance to show a bit of leadership and stick to their guns, or exploit it and use it as a weird stick to beat the mayor with, and concurrently trash their own initiative, well, they went for the latter, because they felt it would get them a few ticks more in the polling booth. Now, I know what people say. Democracy isn't perfect, but it's the only system we have. It's great because everyone gets a say, but it's also problematic because everyone gets a... And I want to be nice, I want to be liberal, but there's a part of my brain that's like, whose idea was it to give morons the vote? I am absolutely committed. So that was ULEZ. Now, what else do we have on his climate CV? Oh, he's addicted to the high life. We have a prime minister who would take a private jet to a public toilet. Now look, I want to be a realist here. I want to be somewhat pragmatic. I think you could make a case that someone as important as a prime minister, as a political leader, might have to take a helicopter from time to time or a private jet if it means they can attend 5 important functions or events or meetings that day instead of 2. But the problem with that is twofold. Firstly, we don't live in a world anymore where appointments have to always be 100% in person. You can take care of pretty much anything over Zoom or WhatsApp. Now, I'd be happy to teach Rishi the basics of WhatsApp if he needs it, but I suspect he's already rather familiar. Second, if it's your importance as Prime Minister, as a political leader, that's fueling this need for you to attend 5 events in one day, but you can't do that because of the British transportation system, well, who's been in power for the last 13 years? Do you know what other countries have achieved in 13 years with their transportation systems? Japan designed, built, and are rolling out the Alpha X trains. Abu Dhabi built and have largely completed the world's first fully sustainable city. 13 years, man. So when they say the Prime Minister has to fly by private jet or helicopter to reach these 5 different events in one day, the fact you failed to invest in transport, the fact you've allowed it to descend into such an abysmal state that you now find it unacceptable. I mean, what does that tell you? Because I don't know, man, like if I was Prime Minister, if I was leading the Conservatives right now, I don't know. I think I would just grit my teeth and bear it. You would see me just like plebbing out in the cheap seats, you know, smiling on the platform as they're cancelling my train. You know, I'd be there on platform 2. I'd have a spad here going like, Prime Minister, they've cancelled your train. Apparently a man has killed himself at Clapham. And Sunak could be like, well, yeah, that's understandable. So you'll be on the 9:45 instead, which I'm sorry to tell you is half as long and 3 times as busy. But still, I'd be smiling, you know, like one of those teeth-gritting, molar-shattering hate grins, you know, like, oh, okay, it's all part of the fun, though, isn't it? I love those moments where people have to pretend to be nice. They can barely contain the visceral rage that's bubbling up. You know, all it would take in that situation for him to explode is like his aide to come along and bring in the wrong coffee. You know? And he'd be like, what the fuck is this? I asked for a flat white, you dog, badger, you But still, can't judge him on his words, remember? Just actions. But I'd be smiling if I was him. I'd be smiling on the first Great Western train. Like, partly to set a good example and not look like a raging hypocrite with the net zero stuff, but mostly to not draw attention to the fact that my party has allowed the train service in this country to become statistically literally worse than Ukraine's. Yeah. So anyway, where are we? What do we have? All in with this little Rishi Sunak climate CV stock take. We have a Prime Minister who's committed to net zero, but flies everywhere by private jet, except if it's COP27, unless Boris Johnson's about to take his press. We have a Prime Minister who's worked out it's easier to jail climate activists than to listen to them, who's thrown his own Transport Secretary's ULEZ policy under a diesel spluttering bus, and who's prioritised retaining power over the future of the planet, much to his own daughter's chagrin. Oh, and a guy whose own deputy chair of the Conservative Party, the guy who is likely to be running the next general election campaign for the Tories, is a guy who openly mocks concerns for the planet. I mean, it seems to me like Sunak is about as committed to climate action as he is committed to any of his other pledges. You know, honesty, integrity, transparency. And of course, the Conservative Party as a whole, as an institution, have form on this. You remember when David Cameron rode the wave of environmental concern into number 10, but as soon as it got a little bit difficult for him, it was cut the green crap. So yeah, Sunak will say the right things, he'll pledge the right pledges. We're probably only a week or two away now from him being photographed hugging a husky. But when it actually comes to action, when it comes to deliberately flying out to a conference to talk about strategy and tactics, when it comes to rowing back on fossil fuel extraction, when it comes to sitting down with his geopolitical peers to talk about how are we actually going to resolve this problem, well then, curiously, that is the one instance he's reluctant to board his private plane.